In the 5th year of my career, my boyfriend, who was in graduate school, came to pick me up. But in the passenger seat sat a delicate and adorable girl eating cookies and chips in the car, leaving crumbs all over the place. Jack looked at her, his eyes crinkling with laughter, and said familiarly, "Little glutton, I told you to eat more for lunch. Now you're so hungry you can only eat snacks." This is my graduate student mentee, Olivia. She's been helping me organize data every day because the laboratory is so busy lately. I nodded and broke up with him. Jack frowned, looking annoyed. "Emma, what are you doing now?" I looked at my boyfriend, who hadn't laughed so happily in front of me for a long time, and smelled the chip scent that filled the car. "When I was hungry and had low blood sugar, you wouldn't let me eat anything in your car. You said you were a clean freak, and the smell was unpleasant and disgusted you." The stormy night was particularly heavy. I waited in the rain for an hour before my boyfriend Jack's car drove out of the rain. Before getting off work, I sent him a message, playfully saying, "Jack, it's raining so hard today. Come pick me up." Unexpectedly, he came, but it was a buy one get one free deal. I rushed into the rain and opened the passenger door, only to see a delicate and adorable girl curled up in the passenger seat, a half-eaten bag of cookies on her lap, crumbs falling onto the light gray car mat I had personally chosen last year. Before I could say anything, Jack spoke as if nothing had happened. "This is my graduate student mentee, Olivia. She's been helping me organize data every day because the laboratory is so busy lately. She gets terrible motion sickness, so she can only sit in the passenger seat." Olivia stared at me with innocent eyes, crumbs of cookies still on the corners of her mouth. "Sister, don't be angry. I have severe motion sickness, so I can only sit in the legendary girlfriend-exclusive passenger seat. Surely, someone as old as you wouldn't mind with a little girl like me, right?" I listened to their little act, and was about to speak. Jack had already jumped in to answer, "No, she's not that petty. You've already said everything, so what could I say?" So, I had no choice but to open the back door and get in. Jack saw me drenched in the rearview mirror, water dripping onto the leather seats, and the mud on my shoes dirtying the car. He frowned and said with dissatisfaction, "Emma, how can you be so sloppy? I've told you so many times, I'm a clean freak. Do you think everyone is like you, not caring about cleanliness at all?" I was shivering from the cold, and suddenly remembered that he had said something similar before. Jack is very particular about cleanliness and doesn't allow anyone to eat in the car. I remember once, I worked overtime until very late and didn't have time to eat. I was already feeling dizzy from hunger. Jack, who had been chatting and laughing with me, suddenly changed his expression when he saw me take out a chocolate bar from my bag. I looked at him apologetically and said embarrassedly, "Jack, I know you're a clean freak, but I've really been hungry for most of the day. If I don't eat something, my blood sugar will drop." Jack didn't say a word. I tried to open the wrapper, but I was too hungry to have the strength, and I couldn't tear it open after a long time. I had no choice but to bite it with my teeth. The wrapper was covered in my saliva, but it still wouldn't open. I tentatively said, "Jack, can you help me open it?" Jack refused directly. I continued to bite with my teeth, but I used too much force and flung the chocolate bar to the bottom of the car, also knocking over his coffee. The whole car suddenly became a mess. Jack slammed on the brakes and opened the car door. "Emma, you're so dirty. Are you going to starve to death if you don't eat now? Were you reincarnated as a hungry ghost? Can you not eat in the car? It's so hard to clean up the chocolate crumbs that fall into the leather seat seams. Do you think everyone is as clean freak as you? Get out of the car now. I'm going to wash the car." He left me on the street, watching him speed away. I ended up fainting from low blood sugar on the street and was taken to the hospital by a passerby. After fainting for so long, Jack never asked me if I had gotten home safely, and he ignored that I hadn't sent him a message for half a day. After all, I usually sent him a message every hour, no matter how difficult things were. When I woke up in the hospital, I thought for a long time. Maybe everyone has behaviors they can't accept, and I should respect and understand them. So, I transferred $1,000 to him with the note car wash fee. He immediately accepted the transfer and finally replied to me, "Received." It was really troublesome, and it made me have to go wash the car. Don't do this again in the future. You know I'm a clean freak, so don't make me angry. Olivia turned her head and suddenly pointed at the clear folder in my hand, laughing. "Sister, is that a sandwich you brought? It smells so good." Her voice interrupted my memories. She pinched a piece of cookies with her fingertips and held it to Jack's lips, crumbs falling onto his suit. "I only had a cup of yogurt for lunch, and I'm starving now." Jack actually opened his mouth and bit the cookies, crumbs still on the corners of his mouth, and smiled as he ruffled her hair. "Little glutton, I told you to eat more earlier." At this moment, Olivia was stuffing the greasy chips wrapper into the cup holder, orange grease smearing the cup holder I gave him this year. I stared at Jack's profile in the rearview mirror. He was focused on helping Olivia adjust her seatbelt, and when his fingertips brushed against her wrist, the girl let out a coquettish giggle. "It'll take 40 minutes to get to workplace/office if there's no traffic." I suddenly spoke, staring at Jack's hand on the steering wheel, his fingers still covered in cookies crumbs. "Is the rain too heavy today?" His hand on the steering wheel paused, and he said with impatience, "There was a car accident on the inner ring road, and we were stuck for half an hour." Olivia in the passenger seat suddenly said softly, "It's all my fault for making my senior wait for me to clean up the lab bench, which delayed things." She twisted the seatbelt with her fingertips, but her eyes glanced at me from the rearview mirror, the corners of her lips still stained with the red oil from the chips. Olivia opened another bag of cookies, the plastic wrapper making a crisp sound. Jack actually took out a pack of wet wipes from the center console, pulled out 2 sheets, and placed them on her lap. "Eat slowly, don't get it on your clothes." Olivia's cookies crumbs had already rolled to my feet, mixed with the oil stains on the chips wrapper, leaving dark yellow marks on the light gray car mat. And Jack's eyes were always on the passenger seat, watching her eat with cookies crumbs on the corners of her mouth, as if he were looking at some adorable little pet. Olivia's cell phone lit up again, the wallpaper showing Jack smiling particularly brightly, an expression I hadn't seen on his face for a long time. The last time I saw him smile like that was 3 years ago when I helped him organize his graduate school application materials and stayed up until dawn. He looked at the notes all over the table and said, "Emma, you're so good." Now his "so good" was given to the girl in the passenger seat who was eating chips and dropping cookie crumbs. And the sandwich on my lap, still unopened in its plastic wrapper, had already gone cold. Olivia suddenly raised her hand, pinching a pink band-aid with her fingertips and waving it in front of my eyes. "The senior gave me this cherry blossom scent one. Even the disinfectant smells like strawberries." She had the same band-aid on the inside of her wrist, the corner of the R. Aced edge printed with a cartoon bear. I scratched myself yesterday while organizing reagent bottles, and the senior insisted on putting it on for me. The stormy night suddenly became so heavy that it blurred the glass. Jack slammed on the brakes. When I lunged forward, the back of my hand scraped against the car door lock. Before the burning pain could emerge, I heard Olivia's exclamation from the passenger seat. "Did you hit anything?" Jack frowned and leaned over to check Olivia's shoulder, his fingertips sliding down her arm to her wrist. "Did the seatbelt tighten around your neck?" Olivia shook her head pitifully. "Don't worry, senior." He then turned to look at me, frowning when his eyes fell on the bloody mark on the back of my hand. "There are wet wipes in the glove compartment. Take one and wipe it off yourself. Don't get the seat dirty." His tone was like he was talking about something unimportant, and he didn't even bother to hand me one from the center console. Jack, you weren't like this before. At that time, I was working part-time at a coffee shop, and I burned the back of my hand with a hot drink while doing delivery, and the blister swelled up, translucent. Jack squatted under the streetlight downstairs in the dorm, gently applying burn cream with a cotton swab. Cry if it hurts. See what I'll say to you if it leaves a scar. His fingertips were softer than they are now, and he always spoke with a bit of loving anger. Don't do this kind of work in the future. It's not like I can't afford to take care of you. I watched his differential treatment in silence. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, he continued driving awkwardly. All the way, they talked and laughed, and I didn't say a word. After dropping Olivia off, it was just the two of us in the car. I said calmly, Jack, we're breaking up. Jack looked at me in disbelief. Emma, what's gotten into you? Our eyes met at the sun visor. The front and back seats were like they were isolating us. Jack. When we bought the car, you promised me that the passenger seat would always belong to me. Jack was stunned for a moment, seeming to recall, and then frowned irritably. Why are you being so petty? I told you that Olivia has severe motion sickness. Are you even jealous of this? When we were young, jealousy and drama were fun. He scanned me up and down. Now that you're getting old and losing your looks, it's not interesting to be dramatic anymore. I looked at the obvious disgust in his eyes, hooked my lips and smiled, saying sarcastically, once, when I was hungry and had low blood sugar, you wouldn't let me eat anything in the car. You said you were a clean freak, and the smell was unpleasant and made you feel disgusted. You left me on the street, and I fainted from low blood sugar and was taken to the hospital by a passerby. I guess you didn't know about that, did you? Because you never cared about me. And today, just now, you allowed your so-called mentee to eat in the car. Why isn't your cleanliness acting up now? Jack seemed like he wanted to get angry, but he forcibly held it back. Emma, you're being unreasonable again. She didn't have time to eat because she was helping me organize data, so it's okay for her to eat in my car. You said you had low blood sugar that time. Wasn't that because you deliberately didn't eat? Whose fault is that? Are you going to blame me for that too? Okay, it's all my fault. I deserve to die. Don't be angry, okay? My laughter spread in the car. No, I'm not arguing with you. I'm not discussing it with you either. I'm informing you. Jack, our 8 years together, I've ultimately wasted them. Today, we're completely breaking up. After saying that, I didn't wait for his reaction, opened the door, and ran into the rain. For once, Jack and I were from the same orphanage. Because the orphanage was understaffed, most of the children were sloppy, including me. Among a bunch of children, only Jack looked decent and clean. At that time, I especially liked to go play with him. Jack would always for being dirty while gently wiping the mud off my hands, combing my messy hair, and braiding it into pretty little braids. Perhaps I fell in love with him at that time. In high school, boys had big appetites, and Jack complained to me that he wasn't getting enough to eat. So, I chose to give up evening study hall at school, sacrificing all my time, and went to work part-time as soon as school was over. Once, while welding at a welding factory, I accidentally burned my left hand with a welding gun. The temperature of hundreds of degrees burned me so badly that tears fell. The owner of the factory saw it and gave me an extra $100, telling me to go to the pharmacy to buy some medicine. When I passed by the pharmacy, I saw that the cheapest burn cream cost $30. I hesitated for a long time, so long that the clerk came over and asked me if I was going to buy it or not. I smiled awkwardly, walked out of the pharmacy, and turned around to go to the supermarket to buy Jack another box of milk. When I went to the college to bring him food, I deliberately hid it, but he still found out. He gently held my hand and then intertwined his fingers with mine, scalding tears falling onto my neck. Jack, at the moment when our fingers intertwined, did you ever think about me into a shared fate? Because of part-time work, my grades had fallen a lot. I only passed the undergraduate line on the entrance exam, while Jack performed steadily and was admitted to a prestigious college. When we received the acceptance letter, our joy only lasted for a while because we couldn't afford the high tuition fees. So, I voluntarily gave up going to college and went out to work to support Jack's college education. 18-year-old Jack stood in front of the honor roll, holding his acceptance letter, full of vigor. Jack said at that time that he would treat this money as if he borrowed it from me, and he would pay me back when he earned money. He would always be with me, and he would marry me after he finished school. But now, times have changed. The person who made the promise has forgotten it, and only the person who listens still remembers it. 5 The next day at workplace/office, I received a friend request. It was Olivia. After passing, Olivia's messages popped up one by one, with false concern. Sister, don't be angry because of me. Don't ruin your relationship with seniors. I'll feel very guilty. I didn't expect that you would be so angry just because I sat in the passenger seat and even break up over it. I heard that you didn't even go to college. No wonder you're so insecure. Mutual care between us fellow students can make you so broken. I looked at these messages, shocked by Olivia's shamelessness. I didn't know how to reply to her for a moment, and I almost accidentally went into her moments. The top post, a 9 grid, was a scene from the laboratory celebration banquet. In every photo, Jack and Olivia were very close. I looked at one photo in the middle that looked a bit familiar and zoomed in to take a closer look. The arm around Olivia's waist revealed a section of a dark gray suit cuff, which was the one Jack often wore. Scrolling down, the words Jack in the likes were corm in the eye. The date showed one day 2 months ago, which was the stormy night when I was curled up like a shrimp in pain in the apartment, and it was also our anniversary. That day, I lay by the toilet and made 20 phone calls, and all I heard in the receiver was a busy signal. In the end, it was Aunt Mary who took me to the emergency room. I rubbed the date on the screen with my fingertip, and my nails slowly pinched into my palm. He brought me porridge to the hospital the next day at noon, his trouser legs still stained with reagent stains from the laboratory. The project was completed yesterday, and I was busy until dawn. I stared at the school badge on his wrist that he hadn't taken off, wanting to ask him if he remembered that it was our anniversary that day, but he spoke first. The professor praised the experimental plan designed by my mentee. Isn't she amazing? I looked up at him blankly. This mentee had been appearing in his mouth with unusual frequency lately. I looked at the like in Olivia's moments and suddenly remembered the summer after he graduated from college. I was riding a slippery scooter doing delivery and fell into a puddle at the entrance of the alley, my knee hitting a broken brick, blood flowing down mixed with rainwater. At that time, I was thinking about the tuition fees Jack had to pay for graduate school, so I stubbornly dragged my lame leg and finished the remaining orders until I was in so much pain that I couldn't get up until dawn, and then I sent a message to Jack. 2 years ago, he said when he put burn cream on me, I can't afford to take care of you. It turned out that it wasn't that he couldn't afford to take care of me, but that his heartache and patience had secretly been replaced. My cell phone was burning hot in my hand. I closed moments, and the lock screen was a photo Jack had taken for me on my birthday last year. At that time, he would still smile and rub my hair, saying, "Emma looks the best when she smiles." Now, his smiles were all given to the person in the passenger seat, and even the fine lines at the corners of his eyes showed indulgence. And the scars on my legs seemed to ache faintly. The scars on my body had healed, but the scars on my heart would never heal. Memories were like fine needles, me in the heart. When I came back to my senses, I sneered and typed a reply. The passenger seat is left for you, and the trash is left for you too. You're welcome. Then, I directly blacklisted her. Half a month later, Jack was standing at the door of the apartment. Jack was holding the dumplings that I used to love, looking gentle. Emma, I forgive you. Although you were a bit impulsive that day, we still have to be generous. I'm not angry anymore. I'm here to coax you. I looked down at the steaming dumplings in his hand and suddenly laughed mockingly. When I was poor before, my dinner was dumplings. Jack looked at me affectionately. Do you like to eat this so much? You eat this every night. My mouth was stuffed full, and I nodded desperately. Yes, this is delicious. You can't me. You go eat. Who wouldn't get tired of eating dumplings for a month in a row? That was because I fell and hurt my foot and couldn't do delivery, so I could only eat less to save money for Jack to study for graduate school. Jack took the pull ring on the soda can and put it on my ring finger. Emma, I will never you. I will let you live a good life. If I don't do it, let me swallow 10,000 needles. The last time I looked at Olivia's moments, I also saw Olivia posting a new bag with the caption Senior's Surprise. Senior won a scholarship. He said thank you for helping him organize the data. Everyone, don't think too much. But I, as his legitimate girlfriend, didn't even know that he had won a scholarship. Over the years, the most valuable gift he had given me was a pair of high heels that cost a few $100s. I looked at Jack. All these days, I pretended to be nonchalant and worked hard, but at this moment, seeing the dumplings, the emotions that had been suppressed for a long time finally broke out, and tears couldn't stop falling. Jack, everyone laughs at me for being stupid, and even you bully me. I wanted to have a future with you so badly, so I chose to endure. I thought that as long as we were together for a long time, you wouldn't bear to break up with me, but you taught me lesson after lesson. You always have all kinds of difficulties, you share fewer and fewer things, and you don't take care of my emotions anymore. Maybe I felt your love before, so these years, even if it's been so unbearable, I've been crying and unwilling to let go. Jack, facing my hoarse cries, was expressionless. Emma, what are you still doing? Don't I love you enough? Jack, people who unworthy sincerity have to swallow 10,000 needles. 7 The next day, I printed out the dusty transfer records and attached a note, debt with interest, $300,000. I sent it to Jack's laboratory. These days, I stayed up late to complete a transnational project proposal, and the next day, I was promoted to department director. At the celebration, I raised my glass to toast my colleagues, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw Jack's missed calls and deleted them directly. Jack appeared at the door of my apartment again, staring at me gloomily. I thought it was time for me to move to a new house. Emma, are you so vicious? Yeah, I gave so much of my youth, just treating it as if I fed it to a dog. I have to get the money back. I glared back, not to be outdone. $300,000. Transfer it now or in installments. I unlocked my cell phone and brought up the payment code. Jack's fingertips turned white. You're wearing Chanel and carrying Hermes to settle accounts with me now? You were the one who wanted to support my studies in the first place. I looked at him suspiciously. Did you become stupid from studying? You wrote an IOU back then. You don't want to renege on a debt, do you? Jack suddenly rose and grabbed my wrist. I took my heels and stomped on him hard, watching him scream as he jumped. I grabbed his tie and approached him. Do you want me to print out the records of you stealing my credit card to buy Air Jordans for Olivia, too? Emma, you expect everything early. Those transfers. That's called evidence. The Excel spreadsheet you taught me to make back then, thank you for the repayment plan template you made by hand. And that car, I paid the down payment of $200,000, which adds up to $500,000 in total. Remember to pay me back, otherwise I'll send all the evidence to your college. I unblocked Olivia from the blacklist and saw that she had already officially announced her relationship with her senior in Moments. Olivia especially liked to post on Moments, and her moments had become my daily joke. Her latest post was a selfie of her protruding prism on a certain luxury bag, and you could see half of Jack's smiling face. The caption was Senior said that the most attractive woman is the one who studies hard, so he rewarded me with a new bag. She also specifically at me. I saved the screenshot into a special folder in my album, which contained various luxury necklaces and bracelets that she had in the past month. Under each post, Jack was fighting over to comment like a peacock. Like it is good. But I knew that behind these likes were all debts. The bank statements were spread out on the desk, and Jack's credit card bill was like a snake, getting longer every month. The $8,000 for buying shoes for Olivia was skip class on my additional card, and the $25,000 on the laboratory consumables expense report didn't go through the company account at all. I went to the college's finance department 3 times and even helped them calibrate the printer before I got a hint that Jack's reimbursements have been a bit problematic recently. The most amazing thing was that he secretly transferred $5,000 from our joint account that I was going to pay for rent to Olivia as a birthday gift last month. In the early hours of the morning, Jack's text messages jumped out like, "Emma, please, don't sue me yet. Wait until my project bonus comes down." I looked at the photo of the IOU he sent and called back. The phone was full of the noise of a card game. He lowered his voice and said, "Olivia wants to buy plane tickets to Hawaii. Lend me $20,000 first." Lend? I sneered. Why didn't you remember to borrow it when you bought her a bag? Why didn't you remember to borrow it when you me 3 credit cards? I swiped across the screen to bring up the recording, which I had secretal. Why recorded outside his laboratory last week? Olivia said with her voice. Senior's scholarship. Give me half of it. Jack's voice was sickeningly sweet. Silly girl, mine is yours. I attended the laboratory celebration banquet that day as a representative of the cooperating party. Olivia was wearing a Chanel-style suit and a new luxury necklace around her neck, smiling in the crowd like a proud peacock. Emma, you're here. When Olivia saw me, she deliberately moved closer to Jack, her face with hidden. Senior said that when the project bonus comes down, he's going to take me to Hawaii. Emma, I guess you haven't been there, have you? After all, you haven't even been to college, and you can't even speak English. How can you go abroad? Jack stood behind her, the cuffs of his suit white, but he was still pretending to be generous and her shoulders. Baby, you can go wherever you want. Husband will save money to take you flying. I stared at the faded red rope on his wrist, which I had for him in a temple that year, but now it was Olivia's diamond bracelet like a straw rope. I didn't respond to Olivia's provocation and handed the organized evidence bag directly to the lab director. The bag contained bank statements, copies of expense reports, and the signature slips of Jack stealing my credit card. The banquet hall suddenly became quiet. Jack was like a chicken that had been pinched by the neck. I waved the evidence bag in my hand at him. There are records of using funds and details of your transfers with Olivia. Tomorrow, the courthouse summons will be sent to you. Olivia's face changed, and she turned to look at Jack in disbelief. Is what she said true? Jack stammered, still struggling. No, listen to my explanation. When your little mentee was sitting in my passenger seat eating chips, when you told me out of the car, why didn't you say? I took out an IOU from my bag and read Jack's bloodletter IOU written at the age of 18 in public. If may this life be condemned by heaven. The whole audience. I looked at Jack, who was staring at the ground like a child who had been exposed for lying. Jack, you said you would swallow 10,000 needles back then, but you don't have to swallow them now. The courthouse will sentence you to swallowing the needles of the law. 9 Yumi credit card to buy her a bag? Olivia's screams drowned out the background music. This money was all given to you by her? She pointed at Jack, her nails almost poking his nose. You pretending to be a big shot. Was that Louis Vuitton bracelet I bought last month bought with her savings? Jack's face was blue and white, and he reached out to pull her. Olivia, listen to my explanation. Explain, eh? Olivier his hand away, his hand in the corner of the table, making a crisp sound. When you let me sit in the passenger seat, you said she was old and not good enough for you. In the end, you're eating hers, drinking hers, and me with her money? She suddenly turned to smile at me, smiling worse than crying. I thought you were a rich second generation, but it turns out you're a. The whispers in the banquet hall surged like a tide. Jack suddenly rushed towards me, his eyes full of blood. Emma, you're cruel. You reamed to death. I took half a step back, my heels steadily in the marble floor. A dead end? You should have thought of today, the day you left me in the rain, the day you took my hard-earned money to please your mentee. Olivia had already grabbed her bag and walked out. Jack reached out to pull her, and her hand with delicate nails in Jack's face. Poor ghost, don't come looking for me. You should even her to reimburse you for the taxi fare, right? The celebration broke up unhappily. That's good, isn't it? Some people should sink slowly and Thevey planted themselves. The case was under media scrutiny as soon as it was filed. After all, a headline like prestigious college graduate. Student sued by ex-girlfriend for debt was even more eye-catching than the designer items Olivia flaunted. The day Jack was suspended from the laboratory, I saw an emo post on his moments that was only visible to him. Olivia was even quicker, deleting all posts featuring luxury goods overnight and even changing her profile picture to a completely black background. Fortunately, I had already saved screenshots of her moments to my cloud drive. Those designer bags labeled gift from senior were now the best evidence during the court hearing. 10. On the day of the court hearing, I wore a well-tailored black suit and sat in the plaintiff's seat, watching Jack being brought in by the bailiffs. He had lost weight, and his white shirt was wrinkled. He was nothing like the gentleman he used to be when he was coaxing Olivia in the laboratory. His lawyer immediately brought up gifts during the relationship, claiming that the money I provided for his education was a voluntary contribution. Please look at Exhibit 3. I opened my tablet, and a scanned copy of Jack's IOU from when he was 18 was projected onto the big screen. Jack's signature and fingerprints were visible. This is a handwritten loan agreement from the defendant, clearly stating that all expenses during college and graduate school were a loan with a monthly interest rate of 1%. I then pulled up the recording from my cell phone, which I had recorded when he borrowed tuition from me the year before. Emma, this is the last time I'm borrowing. When I graduate and find a job, I'll use my first month's salary to pay you back. Consider this a loan, and I'll write you an IOU, okay? His voice was impatient, but it was recorded. Jack's lawyer was immediately silenced. The moment the judge struck the gavel, I saw Jack slump in his chair, his fingers gripping the edge of the table tightly. When the verdict was handed down, Jack needed to repay $500,000 in one lump sum. He squatted at the entrance of the cour. Though use and sent me a message asking, "Can I pay in installments?" I didn't reply. I turned around and saw Olivia rushing over in heels, her nails almost poking Jack's eyes. Didn't you say you had $500,000 in savings? So it was all owed to her? You're a poor bum. You wasted my youth. She threw her designer bag at Jack's legs. If I had known you were such a loser, I should have thrown up in your car when I was sitting in the passenger seat. That afternoon, I saw Olivia arm in arm with a guy wearing Louis Vuitton downstairs in the laboratory, a rich second-generation student from their department. When she saw me, she deliberately jangled her newly exchanged designer bracelet, but she didn't dare say a word. However, as the guy's car passed by, the window rolled down halfway, and a voice drifted out, "A poor ex-girlfriend is nothing more than that." I ignored them. As I walked out of the courthouse, the sun was shining brightly. A push notification popped up on my cell phone from a rental app. The new neighborhood/community I was looking at had a private balcony and was a 10-minute walk from my workplace/office. As I was passing by the dumpling stand where I used to buy dumplings, the owner called out to me, "Girl, the usual?" I shook my head. "Let me change the flavor. I will have a soup today." Jack's phone call came in again, and I hung up directly. Some people always take other people's efforts for granted, but they forget that all debts in this world must be paid sooner or later. 11. I got promoted again. My colleagues gossiped with me, asking if I knew about the recent retribution of the man from a poor background. I smiled, raised my head, and finished the wine in my glass. I paid the down payment and bought my little apartment. This was bought with the first winning payment, without relying on anyone. It was very solid. The day Jack was expelled from the college, it was the first stormy night after autumn. I held my newly bought umbrella and came out of the office building, only to see him kneeling on the steps, his hair dripping with water into his eyes. It was just like the time 5 years ago when I was working part-time at the coffee shop, and he braved the rain to bring me an umbrella. But now, he was holding a crumpled piece of A4 paper, with "Emma, I was wrong" written on it. The ink was blurred by the rain, like a dirty rag. "Please give me a chance." He wanted to pounce on me when he saw me, and his knees made a harsh sound as they dragged across the marble floor. Olivia only wanted my money. She dumped me when she found out I had no money. I threw the umbrella at him, and the umbrella bone hit his shoulder with a muffled sound. "Where did you get the money? By swiping my additional card? By stealing laboratory funds?" My heels stepped over the puddle beside his feet, and the splashed mud splattered on his pants. "You left me in the rain half a year ago. Now it's your turn to taste it?" When the security guards from the office building came to drag him away, he was still shouting, "We still have the photos from when we were kids at the orphanage." I didn't look back. The elevator mirror reflected my straight back. Those photos had long been collected into a box, along with the fake bag he gave me and the faded red rope, waiting to be disposed of after moving into the new home. Olivia's retribution came faster than the weather forecast. I saw her arm in arm with a rich second-generation student picking out a diamond ring at the mall on the weekend. She was pointing at a 3-carat style and acting spoiled. The next second, a woman in a Chanel-style suit rushed in, and the sound of the slap on her face could be heard throughout the floor. "Seducing my husband? You think you deserve to look at this diamond ring?" Her designer bag fell to the ground, and a cherry blossom-scented Band-Aid that Jack had given her fell out. The rich, second-generation senior student shrank into the corner, afraid to speak. I squatted down to help her pick up the bag, and my fingertip brushed against the bare Band-Aid on the inside of her wrist. "When you were sitting in his passenger seat eating spicy jerky/chips, you probably didn't think there would be today, did you?" She covered her burning face and glared at me. Her eyes were no longer arrogant, only embarrassed. The day I moved into my new apartment, I dragged the box full of old things to the balcony. The sun was good, but it couldn't warm the yellowed orphanage photo. In the photo, Jack had his arm around my shoulder, and there was still mud on his face that hadn't been wiped clean. The lighter clicked and ignited. When the flame lit the photo paper, I suddenly remembered the summer night when he said he would always be with me, and the sound of cicadas drowned out the sound of my heartbeat. "Goodbye, 18-year-old Jack," I said softly to the ashes. When Jack's verdict came down, I was in a meeting room at the new company reporting on a project. Embezzlement of funds plus job encroachment, sentenced to 2 years. The bailiff sent over his personal belongings, as well as a note, sold the car, first pay you back 100,000. The broken car that I made the down payment on finally found a new owner in the used car market. After working overtime on a stormy night, I stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows of the high-rise and looked at the night view. My cell phone suddenly vibrated. A bank notification showed $100,000 with the remark car resale payment. The raindrops hit the glass, blurring the distant neon lights but clarifying the rainy night in my memory when he left me on the street. 3 months later, I met Olivia, who had become as thin as paper, downstairs in the laboratory. She was holding a box, and her fingernails were full of dirt that couldn't be washed off. When she saw me, she opened her mouth, but only managed to utter, "Can you lend me some money?" I didn't stop. On New Year's Eve, I okayed a bowl of soup in my new apartment. The midnight bell was ringing on TV, and as the fireworks exploded outside the window, a new message popped up on my cell phone, a notification from the Court Enforcement Bureau that Jack's remaining debt would be deducted monthly from his prison labor income. I smiled as I touched the plain gold ring on my finger. This year was like a stormy night, washing away all the mud but making the road ahead clearer. While cleaning up the dishes, I glanced at the corner of the balcony. There was a pot of newly planted rose, its roots deeply rooted in the soil. Just like me, I finally planted a piece of land in this town that would not be destroyed by stormy night for myself. As for those who were struggling in the mud, let them slowly shower in that never-ending rain in their karma.